Good evening geeks and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel. So today I've got a video that I've been wanting to make for quite a while now for all you horror fans and figure collectors. As we all know, NECA Toys absolutely crushes it when it comes to their horror figure releases. And for years now they've been the best company to do it. From the cult classic line of the 2000s all the way up to the retro cloth and ultimate figure lines of today. They've produced figures of horror's most beloved icons and now and again throw in some unexpected and left field releases along the way. But today I'm going to be diving into my own personal NECA Horror Figures wish list and talking about my ideas for future collectibles of characters that I believe deserve a figure release. Before we begin, please consider slashing the subscribe button and leaving a like on today's video. And please drop a comment in the comment section below telling me which characters you believe NECA should turn into horror action figures and which ones do you guys want the most. Because who knows, maybe someone from NECA is watching this video and our fan request may have a small chance of becoming a reality. Now with that said, let's get into it. So I'm going to begin with what I assume will be at the top of most people's wish lists, and of course it's Art the Clown from the Terrifier movies. I'm honestly so surprised that to this day NECA have still not produced an Art the Clown Ultimate figure, especially considering that for the past 6 years or so, Art has become one of the most popular villains in the entire horror genre, and he truly is now a modern horror icon. And there's so much that NECA could do with this character that I don't even think one Ultimate figure would be enough. They'd probably have to make a figure for Art from every single Terrifier film. We could have a standard Art, a figure of Art covered in blood, and also Art in his Santa getup from the latest movie. The possibilities for accessories are also endless, from the limitless amount of weapons he uses throughout the series to the different possibilities for interchangeable head sculpts. It's safe to say that NECA would have a field day with this character, and I'm confident in saying that everybody's waiting for this to happen. In recent years, we've received multiple figures of the killer clown from various companies, but NECA would honestly just knock this one right out the park. So next up is another character that I know that people have been wanting NECA to make into a figure for many years now, and it's Jack Torrance from Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. If NECA ever announced an ultimate or retro cloth figure of Jack Torrance, I think it would easily become one of the best horror figures of that year. And I believe the only reason this has not happened yet is because of some kind of licensing issue, including the rights to Jack Nicholson's likeness, which I've heard is a very difficult thing to acquire, and an ultimate double pack with Wendy would be even more incredible. I can imagine an ultimate Jack figure coming with, of course, an axe, but also his typewriter, a glass of whiskey, and perhaps even a couple of alternate head sculpts to capture the many different crazy expressions of Jack Nicholson. And although we're still without the Jack Torrance figure that we all want so much, there are a lot of great custom figures of Jack out there, including this 1/6 scale figure by Craft One that stands proudly in my display cabinet next to Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange. Speaking of Alex, I also think he would make for another fantastic NECA release. They should just do a whole Stanley Kubrick figure line. But unlike Jack, at least Alex has received a few different official figure releases in recent years. And now we've got two figures that NECA fans were absolutely robbed of, and I'm still not over it to this day. Clearly. And it's the Bruce the Shark and Chief Brody figures that were cancelled and never saw the light of day. The impressively big Bruce the Shark display piece never seemed to make it past prototype stage, whereas Brody was fully finished and ready to hit the shelves alongside Hooper and Quint. But for whatever reason, the estate of the late actor Roy Scheider didn't allow this to happen at the very last hurdle. So now we're left with an incomplete Jaws figure line, and although Hooper and Quint are both exceptional figures, it's impossible not to feel a hole that's left from the missing third member of this iconic trio. And I talk about these planned collectibles more in depth in my unreleased NECA figures video, so if you haven't checked that one out yet, head over to the channel and give it a watch. This year actually marks 50 years since Steven Spielberg unleashed this cinematic masterpiece onto the world, and it would be one hell of a way to celebrate if both Chief Brody and Bruce get their release. So up next, I've got a couple of truly classic horror icons, starting with Norman Bates from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Still to this day, one of the most famous movies not only of the horror genre but of all time. It's crazy to think that the only official Norman Bates figure to ever be released is the one from Movie Maniac Series 2 back in 1999. So I think this one is very much overdue. I imagine an ultimate Norman would come with a kitchen knife, an alternate crazed head sculpt wearing a mother wig, and also a fabric dress that can slip over the figure so you can switch between a regular Norman and his psychotic mother persona. And if NECA did some kind of deluxe box set release, it would be really cool if they included a figure of Mother sat in the rocking chair to accompany Norman. And in addition to Norman, I think it would be so cool if NECA produced a figure of the master of suspense himself, the legendary Sir Alfred Hitchcock. And this wouldn't be the first time that NECA have made figures based around real-life film icons, as they only recently released an ultimate figure of the one and only Vincent Price, as well as, and maybe more fittingly, a limited retro cloth figure of the director Guillermo del Toro. I can picture Hitch coming with a bunch of accessories, including a director's chair, a clapperboard bearing the titles of different Hitchcock classics, and a bird that can perch somewhere on the figure's arm. I can even see the packaging design on the front of the ultimate box being the iconic silhouette. I would honestly love to see NECA make both of these figures a reality. So now I've got another character which I'm certain is on most people's wish lists, and it's the Leprechaun, as played by Warwick Davis in the Leprechaun franchise. Back in 2006, the company Sorta Toys actually produced a prototype Leprechaun figure that would have come with a full diorama wishing well display. But sadly, this release never saw the light of day, and we're still left without an action figure release of this 90s horror icon. I believe at this point, Leprechaun is one of the only main horror villains that has been neglected when it comes to collectibles, and I think NECA would do a great job of the character. And I'm honestly surprised that NECA never tried to make a figure of Leprechaun back in the Cult Classics days. But again, he is a character that is very long overdue. The figure could come with a bag of gold pieces, a 4-leaf clover, and a couple of interchangeable head sculpts. The next character is one that I know a lot of people want to see new action figures for, and she's from what is arguably the most famous and iconic horror movie ever made, William Friedkin's The Exorcist. That's right, Regan MacNeil. And back in the day, NECA made a couple of Regan figures, including the Cult Classic Series 7 Spider-Walk Regan that comes with a staircase display, and the incredible Exorcist diorama box set featuring Regan as she appears in the infamous exorcism sequence of the film. And this release not only played the iconic Tubular Bells theme song, but Regan's head actually spins 360 degrees. Honestly, this is still one of my favourite NECA products of all time. So it would be cool to see this box set remade, with all the details and improvements that come along with modern NECA releases. And it would also be cool if NECA made an Ultimate Regan, but I would personally prefer a deluxe box set release that includes 2 figures of Father Merrin and Father Karras. Now that would be a truly ultimate horror figure pack. And I think with The Exorcist being as beloved of a film as it is, it definitely deserves such a release. So the penultimate wishlist figure that I'm going to talk about in today's video is one that a lot of NECA collectors thought was going to become a reality, me included, after images were leaked online of what seemed to be an official ultimate Pamela Voorhees action figure from the original Friday the 13th. Now from looking at these images, this figure looks way too real to be a custom. Even the artwork on the back of the box looks absolutely legit, as well as the small details printed on the underside. And the figure itself looks phenomenal, with a total of 4 head sculpts that feature a perfect likeness to the late Betsy Palmer, and a number of accessories which include a bow and arrow, a knife, a machete, an axe, and a paddle. And although I don't exactly know the full story behind these images, or where this figure has come from, as far as I know, this is just a really well-made custom, and it has been proved to be fake. The licensing rights for Friday the 13th have been up in the air for quite a long time now, which is why we've seen no merchandise for the franchise lately. But this Pamela Voorhees figure is an interesting look at the what could be if NECA were allowed to continue with the Ultimate line. I mean, I'm absolutely just blown away by how good this looks, and to say it's custom made, whoever did it is one extremely talented individual. Not only is the sculpting and paintwork spot on, but the packaging of the box itself just blows my mind. This just makes me wish that NECA could continue with that Friday the 13th figure line, and also while they're at it, finish off all the Jasons too. They would also make the wish list. So the final wish list NECA figure for today's video is one that I've talked about on the channel a few times in the past, and I know for certain that most NECA collectors and horror fans in general really want to see this become a reality, and people would be dying to add this to their collections. And it's an ultimate Michael Myers figure based on his appearance in the original 1978 John Carpenter movie. My god, is this overdue or what? The last time NECA produced figures based on the original Halloween was back in the Cult Classic days, when they released the Ghost Sheet Myers and the Evolution of Evil 2-pack, and that was the best of 17 years ago. In the years since, NECA has continued to make Halloween figures, such as a selection of Ultimate Michael Myers figures based on his appearance in Halloween 2 and the recent Blumhouse trilogy, as well as the retro Halloween 2 figure and the retro double pack that came with Dr. Loomis and Laurie Strode. But we are yet to receive any figures based on Michael's appearance in the first installment of the series. It would be absolutely insane if one day NECA announced an Ultimate 1978 Michael Myers. And you know for a fact that NECA would absolutely nail the sculpting work of that original 70s Captain Kirk mask. The company Trick or Treat Studios recently released a 1978 Myers figure with a really accurate looking sculpt, and I've heard people say that it's the best figure of the Boogeyman so far. So imagine if NECA made an Ultimate with a whole bunch of accessories, including, of course, a knife, but also that 1978 pumpkin and maybe even an optional ghost sheet with Bob's glasses. It would be unreal, but in my personal opinion, and what is the idea that is definitely at the top of my wish list, is if the company produced a deluxe double pack of both Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. And it would be so great if they did this by 2028, just to celebrate the 50th anniversary of one of the most beloved horror movies of all time. We still have yet to have an official action figure of Laurie as she appeared in the original film, so this would be a big deal. And NECA have already created a Laurie sculpt for the Halloween 2 double pack with Loomis. Just imagine if this became a reality with the aforementioned accessories as well. I honestly believe that this would have the potential to be one of, if not the greatest NECA horror figure release of all time. So that concludes today's video. I have more ideas for NECA horror figures on my wish list, so if you guys want to see a part 2, please let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to tell me your own wish list for NECA horror figures and your own ideas for potential releases while you're at it. I hope you're all having a great week, and until next time guys, take care.